Yeah, so digital wallets and user agents. I carry this around with me everywhere these days. I don't carry a wallet at all. Probably been about a year and a half. So I have all my payments cards, have some transit cards on here. I even have my driver's license, the non-digital version. That's just because we haven't got digital driver's licenses in South Africa. So payments and identity, all in my pocket. It's taken a bit of getting used to. Every time I get up from a chair, I always feel both pockets, and there's one empty, and I freak out a little bit. But I'm kind of getting used to it. But one thing I have noticed is that more and more people, like friends, acquaintances, are doing the same. People are not carrying wallets around; they're using their phones, and it's pretty obvious why. Click, click, Face ID or whatever, tap, pay, and you're done. So yeah, I think the identity stuff still needs some work. When I go and fetch my son from a tennis lesson, I have to let the guard at the entrance to the tennis court complex scan my driver's license, which feels a little bit invasive. But it's, yeah, not a hill I'm going to die on, make my son walk home from tennis. So that needs a bit of work. But in general, ID and payments all on my phone. And so I think it's pretty obvious that digital wallets are going to be a key piece of our future. They're going to be pretty pivotal. I know for me, and now I'm not even talking about my digital life, I'm talking about my walking around, buying a coffee, getting a sandwich, fetching my son from tennis life. It's all, using my wallet on my phone. And in seeing that other people are moving that direction, I think it's fairly obvious that digital wallets are going to be a key piece of this future, and especially given that smartphones are becoming pretty near ubiquitous. So digital world, mobile worlds, ubiquitous smartphones, digital wallets are clearly key. So what I wanted to talk a bit about today was the concept of user agents. And I'm going to sort of break the talk into two pieces. Initially, a little bit about the web and where the term user agents come from and how it relates to wallets and what I think we can learn from that ecosystem, from that world. And then a little bit about a little bit about what we've been doing at Fynbos, how we think about digital wallets and identities and payments and how they tie together, and actually tie it back to some of what we've heard already today, which was quite excited to be able to do that. So let me start by talking a little bit about the web. I've been involved at W3C for probably close to a decade now, and the term user agent has been around for probably as long as the web, and it's synonymous in the web ecosystem for browser. We all think of browsers and the web ecosystem generally. They'll talk about user agents, and that naming is intentional. When we develop the web platform and when we work on standards and technologies on the web, there's a concept at W3C that's fundamental to the technical architecture called the order of constituents. And what the order of constituents says is, whenever we develop technology on the platform, there's a number of different constituents. There's the people who write the standards, there's the people who implement the standards in the browser, there's the people who build the websites on top of the APIs that have been implemented in the browser, and then there's the user. And it's very important whenever we have design decisions to make that we order those constituents appropriately. And the user always comes first. So we always consider the user first before anyone else. What's the most important thing for the user? And that sounds pretty simple, but it's not. I've sat in more than enough W3C debates where there's this conflict between ease of use, convenience, things that seem obvious, versus security and privacy. Because those two are always conflicting. It's always a challenge deciding geolocation. Should we make geolocation available in the browser through an API? Absolutely. Think of all the great apps we can build if the web has access to your location and what you can do with it. But immediately you go, well, do I want every website I visit to know where I am? And so that was where the compromise was, okay, we'll give users an opportunity to opt out of geolocation. And that was I think it's very underestimated how much effort went into getting that right. And I would say it's probably not even done perfectly yet. The idea of giving users choice, but also not overwhelming people. And I think I forget who it was in the panel earlier, brought up the idea of these different segments of consumers and users. And for the web, you're building for everyone at once. And so you've got to think about the person who's a newcomer to the web, who's getting bombarded with notifications that say, do you want to let this website know where you are? Ah, no. But then the website doesn't work anymore because location was key to what the services that the website offers you. So dealing with that conflict, I think, is something that we have to consider in how we think about digital wallets as well. And that's why I think about digital wallets as our user agents need to be designed with the same considerations. We need to be thinking about all the great things we can do with a digital wallet, that convenience, click, click, tap, but combining that with the privacy and security that we need from something that now not only has control of maybe our private information and our location, but our money. So if digital wallets are going to have that level of control of our lives, they really need to be our agents. They need to be, user agents. And I'm not entirely, I don't have a solution. This is kind of a question to everyone. What are we doing, or how are we thinking about the design of digital wallets in that regard? So we're members at Fynbos of the Open Wallet Foundation, which is a really interesting organization, group of organizations who are simply putting together open source code. They just want to get all of the different standards codified into open source code and make that available to anyone to take away the barriers to entry to building these wallets that support open standards and openness, but are also being thoughtful about architectures and thoughtful about things like security and privacy. Just over 2 years ago, I started Fynbos with 3 of my colleagues from Coil. We started with the same concept of user centricity in mind. And our mission was, or still is, building a better way to pay. So we really wanted to focus on this idea of how do you make it easy for people to pay? To quote the Interledger concept of how do we make it as easy to send money as it is to send an email. And we've been toiling on that one for, as I say, 2 years. And a lot of it is non-technical challenges. It's governance, it's licensing, it's compliance, all of those kinds of things. Moving messages is easy. Moving money is not so easy. And one of the lessons that we've learned, a key pillar of what we were always advocating for was payment pointers. And in my talk last year, I talked about payment pointers and how those were a key to the whole system. That right at the center you had this digital wallet and you had a payment pointer that identified it. But what we've learned is that while that's the core, it's not the solution. And through this journey, we came across a phrase which we've also latched onto and has become kind of a catchphrase for us at Fynbos, that we don't pay accounts, we pay people. And if you think about that, that's the crux of the user experience of payments. If I want to send you a payment, I don't care what account it goes into. I care if you got the money. And it's the same between individuals and businesses. The same concept applies. When you're making a payment, it's a payment between 2 entities. The accounts are irrelevant. And so this is where the last little bit of what I want to talk about is aliases and proxies and what we think could be a way better model for constructing this world of paying people than what we have today. So just for some context, I think it was alluded to in the last talk by, I think it was New from TitsaWorks, talked about aliases and the challenge that there is in using aliases cross-border. And so that's something I think we as the Interledger community can solve, and we've been working on that at Fynbos, and we have some ideas about how that could work. The alias concept or pay by proxy concept is pretty simple. You have a directory where there's an alias, an email address, a mobile number that points to a financial account. And somebody has to manage that database. Obviously, it's a pretty sensitive database. You don't want anybody to be able to fiddle with that database. Governance is really important. And generally, it points to accounts, and so it's very tightly tied to the national payment system. As New was pointing out, it makes it really hard now for somebody outside the country to use that. So, there's a lot of examples of these. Zelle in the US, UPI in India, Pix in Brazil. They all use aliases. But why is it where mobile numbers are global identifiers, I can't just send somebody a payment using their mobile number, and I don't need to care what country they're in already or what system they're connected to. And so that's the problem we want to solve. And key to that problem is putting wallets in the middle. And let me explain what I mean by that. So instead of aliases pointing to accounts, we want aliases to point to wallets. Not just wallets, but wallet addresses or payment pointers. And there's a couple of reasons why I think that's a superior solution. Firstly, your directories are really simple. So a directory just points from an alias to a wallet address, and that's all. It doesn't, the governance can be taken out of the directory and put into the wallet. And how that works is something we've implemented at Fynbos, is the wallet is where you go to prove that the alias or the proxy belongs to the wallet holder. So anyone who's played around with our wallet or follows us on Twitter will have seen that if you sign up for a Fynbos wallet and you connect your Twitter account or X account or whatever you want to call it, part of that process is that you actually have to post a tweet on your timeline that points back to your wallet. And there's some cryptography there involved there as well. But what you end up with is a circular reference, a pointer from your wallet to the tweet and a pointer from the tweet back to your wallet. And that way, anyone who's viewing that from the outside can be very confident this Twitter handle belongs to this wallet. And so if you start a transaction or an interaction with that wallet, you know very confidently like that wallet is controlled by the same person who controls the tweet. I wish we could take credit for that idea, but this is exactly how a product called Keybase has worked for years. And I don't know how many of you know Keybase. Yes, no, yeah, pretty good. Unfortunately, the whole Keybase team got bought up by Zoom. I think it's still maintained. It's mostly open source. But that whole concept of linking identifiers to kind of a central wallet is really pivotal to this whole idea. And so what we've done is we use a combination of these public proofs or external proofs, as well as things like OAuth. So from within Fynbos, you can log into Twitter, and that way we know that you control that Twitter account. So going back to the directories and what this solves, imagine a world where you can go to Twitter or any directory of proxies, and it can be run by anyone. It's literally it's a federation of proxies, and I just coined that term, so let's go with that, federation of proxies, where you can go to a proxy server and you can say, I've got an identifier. It's Hugin's TikTok handle, and I want to know how to send some money to it. And the proxy says, well, this TikTok handle points to this wallet address, so go there and find out. And when I go to the wallet, the first thing I can do is interrogate the wallet and say, does this wallet own this TikTok handle? And the wallet can say, yes, here's a document signed with a key from the wallet or a key from TikTok or a combination that proves, Hugin does own this wallet and also owns this TikTok handle. And it could be that there's a post on TikTok that points back to the wallet, so some form of public proofing mechanism like Keybase or something that's accepted by the ecosystem to tie those two together. Now I can talk to the wallet, I can use the Open Payments APIs, I can say, great, now I want to make a payment. And so in that way, I was able to not only send a payment to a TikTok handle, but be pretty confident that the TikTok handle I'm sending it to really belongs to the wallet that I'm now interacting with. And so our evolution of this whole idea of wallet addresses and open payments is a last little piece that we've just started chatting to the team at ILF about, and that is introducing some of the technology from decentralized identity. And the very cool thing about the fact that we picked URLs as wallet addresses is they translate into DIDs seamlessly. There's a distributed identifier format for web URLs. And all we have to do is host a document at the wallet that contains the keys, contains the proofs, contains the service points that allow you to do all of these interactions. So that's the model we're working on at Fynbos. It's still kind of evolving. We're in the process of trying to put a white paper together with a team in South Africa called DidX, who are sort of experts on the distributed identity space. And that's what we've implemented in our platform. So I've still got 10 minutes, but I'm going to go through a quick little demo and then we can maybe ask some questions. So this is what the homepage in the Fynbos wallet looks like. Nice and clean, simple. Can give Kieran credit for the beautiful front end work. As as you can see, fairly basic. This is my personal account. It's connected to a Bank of America debit card and to my bank account directly. So identities. So what I've done, I've linked my Twitter account, my Discord, and my Slack. And I'm going to show you a quick little demo of why that one's particularly cool. And so if I want to make a payment, which now doesn't look as nice because of Alex. If I type Matt, let's say, okay, cool. So that came up. There's my co-founder Matt's Twitter, his Discord, and his payment pointer. And then there's our pay page. So I can send it to Matt, and I can see not only do I have these identifiers as ways to find Matt, I have them as ways to verify Matt. So if I know that, Matt's given me this payment pointer to pay to, but I also know this is his website, I can see Fynbos has verified that the owner of this website is also the owner of this payment pointer. So I'm pretty confident then that this is the right Matt. But before I send him a payment, let me go over here and let's hope Discord's come back online. I don't know if you noticed Discord had some big problems earlier. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, instead of sending a payment via email, I'm going to send it via Discord. And I'm going to send Matt, we feel generous, $2. Cool. So let's authorize that. And now you can see what's happened is Fynbos has created a payment to Matt's Discord account, which is tied to a wallet, $2 total amount. We're in the process of adding multi-currency, so this looks a little more complicated than it needs to be. And I'm going to confirm that. And if everything goes well, it's going to be a little 3D secure bit that's happening here. It's probably going to freak out because I'm in Costa Rica. Nope, all good. So what happened there is it pulled $2 from my linked debit card. It spoke to Matt's wallet and discovered what account his default receiving account is, and it sent the payment to that. And so in this case, it was a payment from my wallet to Matt's Discord account of $2, and Matt should actually have the money instantly because it's using card push, which is instant. So yeah, if anyone wants to drill into the details, grab me afterwards. But I thought leave 5 minutes for any questions. Cool.